Welcome to another episode of Angels, Positivity, and Love. I am so excited. For a long time, she's been helping people understand and grasp angels, something that we know can't be grasped in another sense. Lorna Byrne is here with us from Ireland. She has walked a very special path filled with obstacles and hurdles, but I would argue that has helped her build such a deep foundation of compassion, kindness, gentleness towards us all, an attitude of love, an attitude of gratitude, as people say. And I'm just very thankful to have Lorna with us here today from Ireland on the show. Lorna, welcome to Angels, Positivity, and Love.
I would say to you, Michael, welcome to you, and the angels and all of that, to all of that positivity and love.
Yay. And so Lorna's got a tremendous background, and wherever she would like to cover, she's got a couple foundations, but she's very excited about her sanctuary she's started. It's a nature sanctuary. I mispronounce everything, but Kilkenny in Ireland, and I hope people form up in groups to go feel the energy of the land, to interact with Lorna when she's there. She has a very busy schedule. I will have put out some social media on that event schedule, but people can check out our website early in the show here while she's talking, but go back and watch her and leave your focus on her so you don't miss out. But it's Lorna Byrne, but it's BYRNE.com. And she's got 7 best-selling books. I have one here, and it's Angels in My Hair, Angels at My Fingertips, A Message of Hope from Angels. Here is one of her books. And again, Lorna, thank you very much. What do you have for us as a reminder that we all can experience more compassion, hope, gentleness, love, etc. in our lives? How can you help us pump the brakes a little?
Well, I would say I'd pump the brakes a little in the sense of, to acknowledge and to realize, that you have a guardian angel and a beautiful soul, and that you are a beautiful person. That you shine great light out into the world, and the angels are there to help us in every single way, to give us all the encouragement and confidence. Sure, look at me, I have been considered retarded because I'm dyslexic severely, but as a child, just seeing the angels, physically, and I still do today, but it was normal. I actually don't know what it's like for you. I can't imagine your life and not being able to see the angels physically. It's like I can be walking down the street and I see men, women, and children physically like you would. But then I see the guardian angel with everyone and other angels, and sometimes even the soul of a loved one, walking alongside. And I always say to God, how can we wake up people to realize that the angels are here among us? They're helping us every day, to fill us with, that light, that love, that compassion. That is what spirituality is about, you know, hesitating, not, you know, jumping the gun, we'd say in Ireland, and lashing out. It's like take a deep breath and try your best to connect more to your soul and more to your guardian angel and to the archangels or whatever angels you feel are around you. And the angels have taught me that from the time I was an infant. Lying in the cot, I always tell everyone, reaching up, trying to catch them, touch them, but I never could, by the way. And I didn't even know then they were angels, or even when I was a young child, running around and playing and everything. I didn't know. To me, they were part of the family. I assumed my mom and dad saw them too. That the neighbors outside, because if I was looking out the window and saw a neighbor or other people walking, down the street, and I could see the angels with them, you know, why couldn't everyone else? Of course, it wouldn't dawn on me, because I was so young. But they used to always say to me, keep it a secret. Don't say a word. And I never quite understood that for a long time. And it was one time when I was playing with my brother in front of the fire. And I know this is in Angels in My Hair, but that was the time when, my dad had made these wooden blocks and seeing the fire was lighting, it had to be winter, and I was putting one block on top of the other, and so was my brother. And we were just playing, but it was the very moment that our hands touched. I can only describe it in the way as if his hand went into mine and mine went into his, and sparks were everywhere, like sparks of light. That's the only way I can describe it. And it was at that moment the angels told me that they were angels and that my brother was a soul. He had died before I was born. But I, he looked maybe about 4 or 5 at that time when I think back, maybe. But at times I would have seen him in my mom's arms as a tiny infant, but I never questioned it either because I was just a child. It was just normal, and it still is today. And I think that that story alone has helped millions of people to connect spiritually as well, in the sense of knowing that their loved one is a soul. We're not just flesh and blood. We're not just a human being. We're a spiritual being. And that the angels surround us all of the time, because they were always around me, teaching me constantly, because I have no education in an ordinary school as such. Um, but the angels have been my teachers, my friends, they're my family.
I love that. And I can relate to that. I wanted to mention no task or request is too big or too small. People shouldn't be shy about reaching out to angels, even if it's not out loud. I know a lot of us, first time we start thinking we're talking to angels, we do it out loud, and then later we get more comfortable. Can you talk to us about not being shy and to engage our team or angels?
Well, I would say yes, definitely, call on your guardian angel, and what you have said, nothing is too small or too big. And I would always say to people, pester them, literally pester them for the help, to give you the strength to go through whatever you have to go through and come out the other end a better person, full of more light and love in that way. Like, I have used myself as an example so many times, in life, and we all go through ups and downs, but we all need that spiritual help. So yes, ask and keep on asking, because you have to remember, something that might seem real small to one person can be a big thing to another. So never think that you're wasting your guardian angel's time, or you're wasting all of the other angels' time, because you're not. They love to be asked, because when you ask them, how can I explain? It's like you're giving them permission, you're empowering them. They can't overstep, your free will as such. So if you don't ask, how can they help you? In that way, whether you ask out loud, as you said first, a lot of us think we have to, but you don't have to ask out loud. You could be sitting in a cafe and, having a cup of tea, waiting on a friend, and telepathically, within your heart and your mind, you can ask and be talking to your guardian angel and the angels that are around you. And, maybe it is something like you want to get on with this friend, you want it to be a pleasurable cup of tea together, but ask for that and ask them to fill you with, I always say, that light, that joy, so that when the other person comes in, whether it's a man or woman, you know, they feel positivity, they feel good because you're feeling that way. And they help to enhance that, even if you're nervous, even if you're scared, they help to enhance that to make the whole situation much better. They always love you to, how would I say this, enjoy the moment regardless. And I think the world today, mankind, we have forgotten that lesson that the angels have taught us to enjoy the moment, no matter what. I could tell you millions of stories, but yes, just ask your guardian angel and pester them constantly.
Well, that's
I
lovely. I'm going to ask you in a second, not quite yet, about the book in terms of you had a lot of little mini miracles, a lot of assistance that you just couldn't have guessed was going to be coming your way to make this happen, and a lot more than that. But before we get there, what are some little steps you take during the day just to, we could call it grounding, slowing down, making sure we appreciate the opportunity to ask more? So it could be just a brew up, a cup of tea, the gardens, a walk, lighting a candle, all the above. Can you share with us, because you've give so much inspiration through the books, through your events, through many interviews. You've been on Inspire Nation, you've been on with a lot of folks, even this year. What would be some just super simple tips that anybody watching this in the future can go, oh, it's that simple, a cup of tea, but maybe looking out at nature in the backyard? What are your secret ways that you slow down extra to really enjoy the day?
I suppose that's a question no one has ever asked me
Yes.
before.
That's all I wanted to do was
What
ask
do
that
I
question.
do to enjoy the day? Um, well, I do love to, how would I say this, escape, to get some time on my own, humanly and spiritually, okay, in that way. So I would go for a walk, and on many occasions I would tell the angels or even Archangel Michael, to go away, leave me alone. I want to be on my own. You know, the thing is, I know they're real because I see them. They have touched me. Um, and I would say for everybody out there, I think in one of my books, I give a little example by, when you wake up in the morning, just say good morning to your guardian angel. It's really that simple. It's like pretend you were a child. Just think of an infant. It's learning everything from its parents and those around. It's doing its best to sit up like everyone else. So and that's all natural as well. So your connection to your guardian angel or to any angel or even the soul of a loved one is actually very simple. I don't understand why everyone is saying it's so hard. I think what has happened is, over the generations or the thousands of years, it has been, what would you say, crushed. Different faiths and different things, don't want us in a sense to realize that we are a spiritual being as well. So it's kind of, anyone, speak of God even, or the angels, or say that they got guidance today. They done the right thing because they listened to that voice that whispered to them. We're afraid of being ridiculed. And I would say to you, that was something I was so afraid of. I used to say to God, and Archangel Michael and Angel who says, you know, people will think I'm crazy, I'm mad, you know, but I knew one day I had to say yes. And when I did say yes, yeah, some people thought that, and still do today, would laugh and say that's not real. But then I've often had those people, and it could be a TV presenter or a radio interviewer, And later on, when I'm leaving, they come running out after me and they say, Lorna, by the way, I had to say that I believe in God and the angels. I do think that is so beautiful as well. It's kind of like, it's so simple. All that you have to do, in a sense, is say good morning to your guardian angel. You know, just acknowledge to yourself that you're not walking down the street or sitting in the chair where you are, Michael, alone. You're surrounded. And you have one angel, particularly one angel, and that's your guardian angel, that can never leave you for 1 second at all. And I think that's incredible. Even when you go to the bathroom, no matter what you're doing, whether you're doing something negative or bad, or you're doing something good, or you're being loving and caring, your guardian angel is right there. And it loves you unconditionally. And I think that's incredible. Even when you're not doing something right, it still loves you. What human being can we get to still love us no matter what we do? To me, that is extremely powerful in that way. And I would just say to everybody, just say to yourself, what have I got to lose? You've nothing to lose. Just to discover more about you yourself, about who you really are, about reaching into your spiritual side and seeing the world differently. I want everyone to be able to see, angels physically, as I see them, as they see their mom and dad and their friends. I want you all to be able to see more, because I see so much. I don't just see angels, I see so much, and there's so much life around us. So give yourself a chance. Say to yourself, you've nothing to lose. And I know some people would say, well, Lorna, I've been asking God and my guardian angel, to win the lotto and it hasn't happened yet. Or I asked for a particular thing and it hasn't happened yet. But then sometimes I would meet someone that would have said that to me and would have been very, very annoyed and angry and saying, well, where was God and the angels? They weren't around. But sometimes then I'd meet them maybe 10 years later and they say, Lorna, do you remember me? And I look at them, well, I meet so many people, not quite sure if I do. And then they tell me the story about them saying that to me. And then the story has changed. They say, I'm so glad I did not get what I thought I needed and wanted, because life wouldn't be as good as it is now. And that's what we have to remember as well. Maybe I'm talking too much.
No, you're doing great. And this is just wonderful to hear. If love's a constant, and love is a constant, love's the fabric of the universe, it's easy for us with thinking to pull away from that. And I think there's a famous quote from Mother Teresa who said, if you judge people, you have no time to love them, which is a great reminder. No matter how much we think that neighbor or this person, that person, did something and we're reacting to it, there's still a bigger or inner picture or an interconnectedness of all that's going on. It's a constant, and yet it's really easy to forget. We're human beings. Can you talk to us more about how that compassion, that kindness, that gentleness, that love, it's in and around us? And I know, the ebb and flow of life, the travel schedule for you, you can feel tugged. All of us can feel tugged. The work schedule, relationships. Talk to us more about how it's all encompassing, and all we have to do is what you just said, which is, go within a little bit more, trust a little bit more. Tell us more about that.
Well, what would I say? Some people would say, well, it's easier for me, because I know God is real and the angels are real. And that I know that, their loved ones, are not dead as such. It's only the human body. And I suppose in one way, maybe it is easier for me in that way, but it's still just as simple and easy for you. You just have to, in a sense, acknowledge within yourself that you're not just a human being, that you're a spiritual being as well. And now it's like, what are the angels saying to me? Give a description like this. It's like, you know, someone saying that to themselves for the first time, or making, that determination to really allow themselves to go deeper in and saying, yes, I know I'm a human being and I'm flawed because I'm human, but I know I am a spiritual being and I have that soul that is pure love. I can never give too much of it away because it's constantly full. The soul is this light of love, this light of hope, compassion, all the words we put together. And it's like, just acknowledging that and, in a sense, giving yourself a chance to believe and allowing yourself, the way I'll put it, is feeling it and allow yourself to feel your soul, to feel that love, to feel that compassion. And you will get lighter, by the way. You will feel lighter within yourself. Your human body will feel lighter because you are acknowledging that you have a soul that cannot die, that is pure in every way, that is that spark of light of God. And you're acknowledging the angels that God has around you. You're acknowledging even the souls of loved ones that can come and go, because your guardian angel will often call in, the soul of a loved one because you're not listening. They're not getting a response from you. They're trying to guide you in the right direction, but you're influenced by the world and you're influenced by fear, all of the negative things when they're trying to get you to go, let's say, left. I would often say to people, when you're making a big decision and you're scared and you're wondering, are you making it right? And you're going and you're getting all the information you need to help you to make that decision. And your guardian angel and the angels would be helping you to do that, to go and get all of that. But sometimes when you have received all of that, you've received, what would you say, the best from the best person, giving you their side of what you should do in your decision. But I always say, if something is nagging you, that you should go left and not go right the way maybe the world is telling you, I would say go left. Regardless how scared you are in that sense, because the way, and I'm sure it has happened to you many a times as well, you went the wrong way, but you didn't realize it was the wrong way because you were listening and going by all the professional advice you were getting. And afterwards, you're being nagged again, in that way. And you're saying to yourself, I knew I should have gone the other way. I knew it all of the time. But your guardian angel and the angels will help to make even that right. So it's like you have picked a journey that is going to be a bit harder, but they will still help you along that journey. So I always say to people, if the angels are great teachers to help you to reach into that love and that compassion and that hope. If a thought comes into your mind now, like, Lorna, pick up the glass and show it to everyone, it's full of water. Don't ask the question, why should I do that? Don't be lazy. Because as human beings, we're very lazy, by the way. I know people say, Lorna, why would you say that? But we are. There's many a time that your guardian angel or Archangel Michael or another angel is trying to teach you. And They give you simple tasks that have no meaning. It's just that you respond to them, so that when something is really needed in your life, you respond in the right direction, in that love, in that compassion, in that hope, in that positivity, to keep you on the road that's easiest for you. And lots of experience with on that road. It's like, again, if my guardian angel said, Lorna, pick up your pen and show it to everyone. Why should we be afraid to do that? So it's kind of, again, to listen, to connect to our soul, to connect spiritually to your guardian angel and all the angels that are around you. And of course, I love Archangel Michael, because everyone calls in Archangel Michael millions of times in their life. And I love the thing about him. And the same with all archangels, by the way. There's only one of them as such in that way, but they can be with us all at the same moment. And that's something I don't understand, how they can do that.
No limits, unlimited
limits.
opportunity for growth inside of us and around us, if we only want to pay attention a little bit more. Can you talk to us about compassion? I know there's a trillion definitions of compassion. So compassion for all creatures, big and small, all moments, all everything, is life itself. How do you try to handle the compassion thing? Because it gets a lot for the brain. And if you're having, I mean, do you have conversations all day long at times, running conversations with angels as you go through your day, just subconsciously? Are you chatting away?
What way would I put that now? That's another question I've never been asked in that way. Am I subconsciously talking to them 24 hours a day? No. I have to be honest.
Okay.
No. I only talk to them when I need to. Or sometimes what happens is they come and they start talking to me. But I don't have to talk to them 24 hours a day.
Right.
It's like even sitting here and listening to you and talking. What would I say? The angels are talking to me on 5 different, let's say, channels.
There we go.
Humanly first, to understand humanly, and I can hear each one individually. And I don't know how I do that, but I have been taught how to do that since I was a child. So it's normal again. It's like, how you learned how to talk. You ask yourself, how did you learn how to talk? By just listening to your mom and dad and those around you, and you wanted to do the same. So in a sense, that was the same with me, but let it be the same with you now. Let us, make that stronger connection to that love and compassion. Compassion is, lots of people think to be spiritual is, about just themselves, but it's not. It is to be compassionate and loving. You shouldn't judge anyone. I don't judge anyone. I love you. I don't care what you've done. I don't care if you're good or bad in other people's eyes. I'll still love you. And, we judge too much. We just judge too much, and we shouldn't. It's like, just say somebody was, sometimes I would hear stories where, a family would be in feud with each other, and sometimes you find out that feud started over a tiny little thing, and it was passed on through generations and grew and grew and grew and grew. They shouldn't be judging each other. They should be loving each other. It's like, as well, one young woman saying to me at 17 years of age, Lorna, I loved my dad so much. why did he think I needed material things? I would rather him here than have all those material things, you know. So we shouldn't judge each other. We should just love each other, have that compassion. And I suppose, you know, in today's world, it's like we've lost a lot of that compassion. You know, we've lost a lot of that empathy. You know, we're teaching children empathy where we never had to before. You know, so we have lost what's the angel saying? I can't pronounce the word they're saying. The grasp on life, you know, on who we truly are. You know, so I would say to everyone, if you're trying to be spiritual, start with yourself. Start with being kind and loving and don't judge. You know, it's kind of, I just say to people, you know, give someone a smile. You're walking down the street. Don't say to yourself, well, I'm not going to smile at that person because of some reason why you look on them negatively. Smile. You might just save their life, or they might just save yours. You know, I'd love when I hear someone tell me the story, you know, about, you know, I remember this lady telling me her dog went into the river, you know, and it got into difficulty. And she was screaming for help because she wasn't able to help her dog herself. And she said, Lorna, this young man came running over, and he was the last person I would ever have smiled at or given them a slice of bread, or, you know, I would have walked over them. And yet he saved my dog. Well, that young man was more spiritual than she was. He was kind and loving. We shouldn't judge each other because maybe someone is homeless, or maybe someone is just having a hard time, because you could be having a hard time someday and need someone to have compassion and love for you. To, I would always say, you know, to reach out and give a helping hand. Like the Good Samaritan, what an example we were given. But again, none of us want to be the Good Samaritan, you know, in that way. So try and allow your spirituality to grow, for your soul to come forward, for that love and compassion, and allow yourself to show it to yourself. But it's like, show it to nature. Everything you do, it's like, well, I won't kill that weed because it's actually a wildflower and nature needs it. So if nature needs it, I have to love it because I need nature to survive, to live, to breathe. I hope that helped.
Yeah, Winnie the Pooh always says, weeds are flowers too. And I love some of the Winnie the Pooh expressions. Everyone talks to animals, no one listens. That's the problem, is the quote. But I always say that's the problem, and that's the opportunity for us to remember, you know, just more love, more compassion. You know, you can hear animals, you can hear nature, you can hear interact if you just slow down a little. So I did have to ask a very nerdy question. I don't think you're going to have been asked this one before. If you go to choose a sachet, I don't know the word, of tea, you're trying to decide between mint and, you know, Earl, I forgot all my tea brands, but you're choosing your different teas. Do you ever have an angel come in and say, Lorna, you know, why not do this one today? Because you've been leaning the other way so often. Do you ever have that type of conversation, a little bit, or a little assist?
I love it as well. And I would have to say no.
Okay.
Because I have to be truthful. They would be telling me, Lorna, don't touch that. You know, they would say, even though I might say, oh God, I would love to taste that. You know, they more than likely they would say no to me.
Okay, but maybe for a walk in the direction you were going to maybe go. How about that? You get influenced on a walk, and they're like, oh, why don't you go for a walk this way? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, that definitely happens all of the time. You know, sometimes I'm told to get into my car and drive up the mountains and where to stop and get out.
Ooh, nice.
And, you know, I could end up in the middle of a bog and I'm walking and then, you know, Archangel Michael or Hoses or one of the angels would come along and say, you know, there's another angel you need to meet,
Hmm.
you know, and or there's a message that I've to receive and then where I have to go in that way. Yeah, that happens a lot, you know, it just happens every day. And I would call that sometimes my escape time when the angels tell me to go off somewhere. Or, you know, as you said, you know, I'm walking down towards the town and I'm told to turn in another direction. I just do it. I don't say, oh, did I hear that? Did I get that message? I just do it. And that it's like picking up the glass of water. They're they're, you know, I'd love to see people do more of that, but it doesn't mean they are not going to tell you if you're going to work and be late for work. They're not going to tell you if you have to feed your baby and you miss feeding your baby. That's the human self doing that. You know, I remember one lady saying to me, "Oh, I was late for work because the angels told me to go left and told me to go off somewhere." And I just said, "No, your angels didn't tell you that. That was your own imagination. They won't do that. They won't do anything that would, what's that word they're using? Jeopardize your livelihood or those that you have to take care of. But they will say pick up the glass, or they will say, well, it's lunch hour now, have your lunch and give yourself 15 minutes to go for a walk. And they might suddenly have you look over at a bunch of trees and you know you have to go in that direction, you know. So I hope that helped.
Yes. And can you tell us about your sanctuary? I know that's one of the you have a children's foundation, but you've also started there's a beautiful piece of land in Kilkenny, if I said it correctly. Very a lot of energy there, a lot of fantasticness. Let's make up a word. But the wildlife, nature. Can you talk to us about it and why it could be a great destination for a group of folks to visit in the future? You might be holding even more events there.
Well, please God, I'll be holding more events and that lots of people will come. It's a very long story and I haven't written about it yet, but it was something that God showed me when I was a child. I was actually standing in this house, looking out the windows. But then, you know, time passed and I would always, you know, even then I was saying to God, go away, you know, in that way. But when my husband was alive, Joe, sometimes we passed these two pillars, this gate, you know, driving down to a friend's house, and Archangel Michael often stood there. And one day he was standing there, and it was like as if the car went in slow motion. Everything slowed down for me, and Archangel Michael just said, "You will live here one of these days. You will live here." And I just thought Archangel Michael was crazy, you know, because I could see a tiny roof, you know, over this wall. So I knew whatever he was talking about was small, but I was misunderstanding. Um, and Joe at that time, when he was driving, said, "Are you okay? Are you all right?" And I said, "Yes." And later on, I had said to Archangel Michael, "Joe is too ill for him to live here. You know, what is God talking about?" And so then years passed. And every now and then, when we go down to visit our friends, there would be other angels just standing there, just pestering me. So, skipping the story right along, um, my children, who are all young adults now, were saying, Mom, you're traveling too much, not 6 to 9 months out of the year. We have to find somewhere that you can, have a gathering of people and talk with them. So they went looking, was there any, room or hall that you could rent out reasonably, all of that thing. And one of the girls seemingly were on the internet, and don't ask me how she ended up where she did, but she saw this land for sale with an old mansion on it. And she listened to her guardian angel and she laughed at it. And she sent it to my son, Niall. And my son, Niall, kind of went, oh, sure, we don't have money to buy anything, because we didn't have money to buy anything. But the thing is, my son gave me a call and said, turn on your computer. I just want to show you something. So he too was listening, in such a strange way. He too was listening. And he showed me this, video. And the first thing I saw, what do you think I saw?
I don't know.
Those two pillars, that gate. And I just went, oh God, what's God up to? Come on. And then suddenly the video moved going down this, dirty path as such. And it came to this big old house. And I had told my son, the story, because I was in a shock. He said, Mom, what's wrong? And again, my son listened to God and his guardian angel. And he just said, Mom, I'll send this to someone we just met. And they were Americans. And he sent it. And the husband and wife said, yeah, that's it. So it's because of them that we have the sanctuary. And it is a sacred place. It's blessed. I just smile because, God had me there when I was a child spiritually. And I stood in one of the big rooms holding his hand. And the room was surrounded, by angels. And everyone that goes there now, they find it so peaceful. But I just say, God, come on, it has to pay for itself as well. That's important, and we forget that. But we do an awful lot at the sanctuary. We're growing food, so we give the food away. We'd have so much, to neighbors and to food shops, that give out to those who are finding it hard. And then we have the children's charity, and we're doing great work there as well. And how would I say this as well? Then I do, which I don't advertise, but people are asking, I do extreme cases, and people say, what are extreme cases? And extreme cases is where somehow a family contacts me and says, my child is terminally ill and my child is talking about its guardian angel. Can I bring my child to you? So I do that, and I have to give all my time because that's very, very important. So I have told a story about Noah. His family gave permission, and he was an extreme case. And I was doing a tour in Germany, I think, that part of Europe anyway. And I always remember, I think there was about 700 people there in the end, but this young boy walked in before the place was even quarter full. And I said to God and the angels, should I go over to him? And I was told no. So I never went near the child. And then, the interview came, the questions and answers came, and just near the end of the questions and answers, Noah stood up, this young boy stood up. And the moment he stood up, you could have heard a pin drop. The part of the miracle was that no one noticed him because this child was wired up. How could you not notice? You know, this special hat and machine beside him, he was wired up. And Noah just said, you know, Lorna, I don't have any questions. You know, I just want to tell you my guardian angel is my best friend. So I have written a book and it's called My Guardian Angel, My Best Friend. And then I was waiting for it because of course he was going to ask something the angels were telling me. And then he said, and you couldn't, no one even coughed or moved. There just wasn't a sound. The whole place was still and quiet and peaceful. And then he asked, he said, Lorna, could you ask God for the gift of life for me? And again, even the silence was more because everyone in that audience, and even you and me and your audience, maybe not all of them, have the gift of life. And this child was asking for the gift of life. So he came an extreme case and his family spent a lot of time with me. And he did get extra time, but God did take him home to heaven. You know, and we have this big, huge tree that we call Noah's tree because he loved the sanctuary, he loved Kilkenny. When he would come, he'd live here in the farmhouse with me, but we'd go straight down and he'd have so much fun. And the hospitals didn't know how he was still living. He shouldn't have been, you know, because at one stage he swung out of the ivy around the tree and we got a photograph. So we're going to do a little plaque and you know, put it up, and please God, I think it'll be next year the parents will come back over, you know, with the rest of the family, and we'll christen the tree Noah's tree. Sorry, I just went
no,
on.
that was lovely. At lornabyrne.com, BYRNE, Lorna, LORNA, again, BYRNE.com. It'll be below the video. People can check out, though, your event section, not just stateside, Europe, and so on, but for the sanctuary. And as time goes by, it should be, I don't know how to say it, more offerings, more organized, bigger, more fun down the road. And I think that'll be very exciting for folks. And I think it's lovely also, too, that less travel time. I know airports aren't, let's say, your favorite thing. And they are even more hustle and bustle today. Before the show, we did this, with your permission, if I can find everything. Can I light a little bit of sage and blow it your way?
Yeah,
Okay.
go
I'm
ahead.
being very shy with you, so I want to make sure
No, don't
we're
be
good.
shy at all. I
Okay.
look forward to meeting you personally whenever God grants that.
Here's a little bit of sage for those who haven't seen it, or any of the 30 shows so far, or the next, 15. This is just a sort of staple on the show, but people can catch this wherever they are, and this may be years in the future. But you can also ask for more. Ask angels to bring you a floral scent or something beautiful in addition to the sage. Why settle? I think that's what Lorna's been quietly telling us the whole time. Why settle for just thinking ho-hum when you can get a little more sizzle in a good way? Okay, so sage, and I know Lorna's already getting it, but do you mind telling everybody what you're getting in Ireland right now?
Well, I will tell you the scent I'm getting. It's not sage, it's rose and daisy.
Awesome. And I'll snub it out before I start coughing. I love it. But you can just ask angels straight up for a beautiful smell, and maybe one that you're not going to get in Ireland or wherever. I want to do a little inspiration. Just anything you wish, but let angels do their work so that maybe they'll surprise you, because usually we're very focused this way and they deliver this way, and then we're like, why didn't I get it this way? And I'm shocked. We're always getting surprised, I think, or caught off guard by life and so on. Is there anything, a final bit of advice for us on angels? And I'm going to mention too, because I was being way too shy, I have photos of angels, take it with a grain of salt. I help people see full on, and I'll just say that much. But I'll show some. My guardian angel, Joy, who's Joy, very first one that people meet. And if fairies are okay too, a fairy named Ginger, an Archangel Michael, but also
That's,
Michael,
yeah.
Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, and there's more archangels off camera. But I don't know if this is what I've been not anguishing about or whatever the word is. I just don't want to interfere. And if there's anything that resonates and you want to talk about, otherwise I put them down.
Well, what I would say to you, you know, angels will give you an appearance either in a light, for myself, they do give a light, but they give a human appearance within that light, so it would just pretend you're not a human being. I would see this glowing light, but they could give an appearance, let's say, like you, a human, they give this human appearance. But the one thing is that that human appearance doesn't change. It's like, and angels are neither male nor female, which I like. Which one thing I love is sometimes someone would say, I do feel my guardian angel is female. And then, they might tell you years later, I think my guardian angel has changed. It feels male. And I would just say to them, well, what's happening in your life? And they're saying, well, I'm needing an awful lot of encouragement, strength. And that's again because the human part of us tells us that male is stronger, but female is just as strong. But the angels help, how would I say, they help to touch us. So they will give us what we need and when we need it.
Oh, that's beautiful. And Lorna, I've got to admit, back at the beginning, 12 years ago, I spent 2 years trying to grasp angels. 2 full years, I got this far. They exist, trust that they exist, let them do their jobs. And I've got to mention the masculine, feminine thing. I think I found a way, because, we grasp, we think, and then
Yeah.
it actually leaves us further away than when we started. But I found a way to kind of, and I'm about to start laughing or crying on this. 51% like female for my guardian angel, 49% male. So that can shift over time, like you just said. But I found that's kind of a happy way to grasp it.
Yeah, I do love, because sometimes, I do see someone's guardian angel and it's given the appearance of both. It is like that shift. And that is very beautiful. To me, it's very beautiful to see in that way.
I've got one more question for you, and then anything else you want to add, please do. And this will be airing in August, so anything August and on that you want to mention to the audience, please do. But here's the question. Have you given yourself a chance to have a cup of coffee or have a walk or tea or take tea with angels full on? I know this is a bold statement, and we always think, well, they've got better things to be doing than to have a cup of tea with me. Plus, think about our thinking, and we already know what we know. It's a big stretch to allow. I know one person who's been bold in 12 years out of thousands that's actually gone for a walk and they're in full physical form with the person. That takes guts. I'm just getting through step by step each day, and that would be a lot. Have you had and you don't have to answer the details here, but have you had a moment that was super special that you always think back to it? There was so much interaction in a direct way that you're just still blown away all these years later or months later.
Well, I'd have to say to you, I'm still blown away by every day. There has been so many interactions, as you call them. I often sit down umpteen times and have a cup of tea with the angels. They would just come and sit all around the table. And sometimes I've had to, you know, how would I say, put cups and saucers in front of them, even though I know they can't, they don't need.
Yep.
But they would say to me, Lorna, where's my cup of tea? And that's the thing to remember. Angels are very serious, but they cheer us up as well. So they have always been cheering me up, you know, and then when they need to be serious, they really are in that way. But the seriousness is the positivity, they're doing their best for you. So yes, go for a walk with your guardian angel, talk with your guardian angel as you're walking, and maybe stop and be silent and listen and see what you hear. But don't, people seem to, work real hard to hear, and then they say, oh, I heard nothing, but you're missing it. You don't have to work hard. It's very simple. Like even some people would say to me, Lorna, I don't know my guardian angel's name, you know, and I would say, well, why don't you ask? Because when I started to give the talks 15 years ago, um, nearly all the audience, men, women, and not so much children, but men and women of all ages would ask, Lorna, please tell me my guardian angel's name. And it came to a stage that that could be all I would do, never even talk. So the angel said, no more. So I'm not allowed to do that anymore. But you yourself can ask. And it's the first thought that comes into your mind is part of your guardian angel's name. It's what you can call your guardian angel. And you don't have to keep on changing it. Like there was one story I tell constantly is about this man up in the back of the audience, and he's saying, Lorna, by the way, I've been asking for years for my guardian angel's name, and all this I get is no. It's, so I have never got my guardian angel's name. And here I was on stage kind of smiling. Of course, he got his guardian angel's name. He even said it. Did you cop it?
No, like Noah or no?
No,
Yeah.
no, was his guardian angel's name.
Yeah.
We all kind of think humanly, especially adults, that it should be this fantastic name.
Mm.
But 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 10, it's very simple. It can be Michael.
You're reminding me of a little kid once who was awesome, full of, they're all full of energy and amazing. But there was this big tree in Austin, Texas. I'm in San Antonio now, and it's a hiking trail, just this gorgeous, old, huge tree. And so kids love to climb on it. The limbs are really big. And the mom had been meeting angels and so on, but the pink ball of light, that's joy, the angel joy, the emotion, the little one was like, that's Ocean. She knew her by a totally different name and just said, the name is Ocean. And I was like, oh my God. And so I think little ones have bigger insights, easier access, less thinking and less worry about the details. They just have a good time with it. And so I love, is it the wisdom of kids or just their innate?
Children are so open, but we as adults in the world close them down, which is so sad because we tell them, that's not real, that's crazy. She's wrong saying Ocean in that sense. We kind of brush it away, but she said it all in her innocence in that way. And that is like, when I be giving the blessing, because I always bless everyone individually. Sometimes parents might have 3 or 4, 9, 10, maybe a 5-year-old, teenagers, and the parents ask, can you tell them their guardian angel's name? I don't have to. I ask the child, and the child tells me. I ask the teenager, and they usually tell me. And here's the parents going, what? But that's the thing, it's personal to the child. They don't need to tell everyone. It's their guardian angel. It's not yours.
And speaking of children, can you just briefly tell us the Children's Foundation, its purpose, how people can support your efforts there, and also, maybe there are other ways too they can support what you're doing, the sanctuary, but please just take a few minutes on that.
Yeah, I everything goes under the sanctuary. It's what do they call it? I'm very bad at pronouncing words. The Seraph Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So everything is in there, so all that you have to do is look for my name and you will find it. We do lots of work with the Children's Foundation all around the world, you know, in as many countries as we can. I always say to people, it's like the extreme cases as well that we do, and it's only because other people support that I can do that, because sometimes the family don't have the money to come, so we have to go and look and see what we can do. So I always say, you know, one day that child could be related to you, and you would be hoping that your child would get help, or those parents would get help, you know. And never say to yourself, oh, I don't care, you know, my all my grandchildren are fine, all my children are fine. But it could be one of your grandchildren's children that will need help, you know. So it's like I always say, help the Sarah Foundation, help it to grow so we can help more. I do loads that you don't hear advertised. You'll only just barely see, you know, certain things, because I can't advertise in that way, because there's only one of me, and I'm teaching my daughter and my son, and trying to help others in that way. So I know I do need lots of support. Um and I give out to God every day, by the way. You know, I say to God, come on, what are you up to? He's up to something else at the moment. And my daughter is saying, Mom, but how can we do that? We don't have the means to do it. So, you know, I just say, just like Noah, you know, the miracles have to happen, you know. But one thing that God has always said to me, and that is, Lorna, many are called, few are chosen, and very few of those few that are chosen say yes. And I have to say, God has proven that to me loads of times, you know. And I just smile. I just smile, and I love them anyway.
Well, Lorna, thank you very much for being on the show. And as a reminder, Lorna has just given us a secret or a little teeny insight on life. Say yes more. Say yes to life. Say yes to compassion. Say yes to all creatures, great and small. Say yes to helping others, children. Support the Seraph Foundation. It's SERAPH. I think I got that right, but we'll have it in the video. Seraph, like the word for angel, is it Latin? I've forgotten. But Seraph Foundation, and thank you very much, Lorna, for being on Angels, Positivity, and Love. Bestseller, 7 books out there, more, tons of annual events, but hopefully more at your property with that amazing land. And I can't wait to have you back anytime in the future in 2024 beyond. Come talk to us about what's going on. And it's been a real privilege to make your acquaintance.
Well, I look forward to you bringing a group to the sanctuary. So let's see what God unfolds, and let's have faith and trust and belief, and push that doubt, negativity away, and let it just be positive. And I love you all, and blessings to each and every one of you, and yourself, Michael, as well.
Thank you, Lorna. Again, thank you. Smooth path ahead for you. And I'm just very appreciative that you came to us from Ireland today to be on the show. Thank you again.